Hi, JoJo. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Bunny?
I'm good, thank you. I've never read one of your books that I haven't loved. Thank you
Oh
for
my
all
goodness,
of your books. I really,
thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And this one is no different. And I have to say, this is not the first time that obviously we've seen one of your books turn into a film, but it's got to give you such joy to see these characters come to life.
Oh, such joy. Because also what I've found, I've been very lucky in my productions because obviously it doesn't always go that way for writers. But Augustine has added something to this book. You know, often writers complain that something's been taken away. I
Yeah.
feel like her vision is so lush and gorgeous. And, you know, the combination of the music and the costumes, it felt like it added a new dimension to something that I had written. And I guess that's the perfect experience.
It really is beautiful to watch this, and I have to say, I don't think she could have cast it any better. You know, when you find out who is going to play these characters, what was your reaction to that? Let's start with Shailene.
Well, okay, I'm going to admit I was a huge admirer of Shailene. Who isn't? Especially, you know, the Big Little Lies character was just
Oh,
amazing.
yeah,
I'd always seen Jennifer as a blonde, so I had to do a kind of oh, okay, double take. But then
interesting.
once you see her in the costumes and the way she inhabits the character, you know, what I've been saying is that now I have trouble seeing my old Jennifer because if they're good,
Yeah.
the actors take over the characters in your head, and she is good. I mean, you know, you feel everything that she feels in this film.
Yes. Oh, you absolutely do. And the other thing that made me really just pine for getting letters. I miss that so much. I am just so sick of texts and emails. I want a hard letter. How do you feel about that? I think that we need to bring back letter writing.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I have a shoebox full of old love letters in my attic, and because I'm old enough to remember when people did this, you know, even
Same.
my cousin's generation, who is 10, you know, she's 10 years younger than me, they'd stopped doing it. But who's going to keep a text for 10 years, 20 years? Who's going to keep an eggplant emoji? It's not going to be the same.
Yeah.
And I spoke to a guy not long ago who interviewed me. He said that he and his wife write each other letters on every special event and anniversary. And I said, well, that's why you're still married,
Wow.
because the act of writing is so different. You have to think about what you want to say before you commit it to paper. There's the physical thing that when you open a letter, you know that that person has touched it and maybe kissed it. I don't know, taken
Yeah.
a photo to post it. I just think we should resurrect the love letter. I think it's a beautiful thing.
I completely agree. So, when you sit down to write a book, you've given us so many great romances. This one's a real sweeper. I mean, I
Yeah.
had the Kleenex by the book and by the film, I have to tell you. But what was it about this one? Like, what inspired this? Did somebody write you a beautiful letter, or what made you write this story?
I wish it was as romantic as that. The truth is, I was eavesdropping in a bar and I was listening to a bunch of women talk about a text message that one of them had received, and they were trying to decipher it and work out what it meant. And I was agog, kind of surreptitiously listening. And it later emerged that the text message simply said, later X. And they were trying to work out, did this mean he wanted to see us soon or next week or never? What did it mean? Anything, the X was small? Should it have been big? Should there have been more than one? And I just thought, we create mountains out of communication molehills now. You know, we're in this age of communication, and yet we don't know what any of it means. You know, it's clouded people's emotional responses. Whereas when my mother or my grandmother was dating, they would get a telephone call or a visit or a love letter, and they knew exactly where they stood. There was no two ways about it, you know. And now I feel like we have all the choice and all the communication. Most single people I know just have no clue what is going on. It's very hard to
So true.
express yourself clearly and honestly.
Yeah, it is amazing. Okay, so before I wrap, new book percolating in your head? Please tell me yes.
Yes, there was one which I started, which I've had to shelve because I couldn't do any of the things that I needed to research it because of COVID. So I've started another one, and it's just at that kind of 20,000 word mark where I get a little bit itchy and nervous, but fingers crossed.
Oh, fingers. I can't wait. I'll be first in line to get it. Thank you
Okay.
so much for your time